Pezza, I don't care what's happening in the cricket, and nor does anyone else, but on this show, you get value. You get value on the show. Sure, blokes are getting slapped in the face. Sure, blokes are chucking it, allegedly. But Jonathan Liew is on our show, as is Mark Wood. Mark Wood is on the show this week. Jonathan Liew as well. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry is also on the show. This episode is brought to you by Budgy Smuggler, the new hoodie and tracksuit range in Australia. Swimwear in the UK, budgysmuggler.com.au, if that's your preference. Pez, we've spent the last month, perhaps, talking about how cricket's changing and the changing tide of stuff and that.
And shit.
Yeah, and shit. And I feel like there's no meaningful cricket being played. Of course, there's a test match series starting tomorrow, England, South Africa. That fills me with something that I can watch. But this is kind of the point, isn't it? This is kind of the point that there's actually heaps on. There's heaps of games being played. But I don't need it. Does anyone need it? I mean, it's beautiful summer in the UK. Actually, a little too hot. A little too hot, if I'm honest.
Declared a drought, haven't they?
Have they?
It's great for baseball.
Of course, absolutely.
But not good for the farmers, respect. Obviously.
So this is the point, isn't it? Now, people be tuning into this fair podcast thinking like, well, let's talk about some cricket. But it's the nature of the changing of the cricket. You know, Trent BOULT doesn't want to play anymore. Well, he actually wants to play more than ever. He wants to play more than ever, just not the old formats. You know, so it feels like, what are we looking at? I feel like I've spent the last month thinking, what are we looking at?
What are we looking at?
What am I listening to?
Yeah, like where are we up to in the future of cricket conversation? Basically, the IPL media rights deal landed 2 months ago.
Right.
And since then, it's just been like, it's been a storm of change.
Yes.
Like, and everyone is pontificating and chin stroking and trying to catch up with fucking acronyms, ILT, NOC, UAE, FBI.
That's the female body inspector. I don't think I've ever heard the term NOC before, and now it's a tattoo on my lower back, which is getting very cramped for space, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
It's a number of tattoos that I have. But I don't, and so we're leading to the first thing. Ian Chappell says that Ian Chappell has obviously announced his retirement from commentary. But Chris Lynn, Ian Chappell, has said that Chris Lynn should sue CA if they don't let him play in the UAE League. Yeah. Now, it seems like there's a pretty strong case for that, given that Chris Lynn ain't got no business dealings with Cricket Australia no more.
Like, what are his legal ties to Australian cricket?
I don't understand
than being a national or being potentially born in Queensland or something.
Yeah.
Like having a passport, citizenship. You must, if you have got citizenship of Australia, you must support the local leagues.
Yeah.
I can sort of see because we talk in pub test views, don't we, you guys?
Yes,
we're a pub test. I'm actually off booze for a month.
Yeah.
For now. And something comes up.
What are you doing after this?
Yeah, that's right. Listen, it goes bottoms up.
I got to tell you, if Linny signs for the UAE, I'm out for weeks.
That's right.
Signs for the UAE into government.
Yeah, Chris Lynn's like, he's done a couple laps for Australia. He's done plenty of Ks in his time. I've heard that in other contexts as well. I'm sure he's done plenty of Ks in his time in all contexts, Linny.
Plenty of miles on the legs.
That's right.
Yeah.
I go home unless there's two contracts.
Yeah.
But, he should just be able to play his cricket where he wants. He's going to be retired soon. He's going to be living wherever he wants to live. I don't know. But the point is, mate, isn't it? Like, I don't know if people tune in to get into the latest drop downs of the future of cricket discussion and NOCs and stuff. These are just the latest stories that are bubbling up this week. It's Trent BOULT's been released from his central contract. Chris Lynn, Chappelli's saying take CA to court. He's Chappelli's final flurry heading into retirement, and we respected those flurries.
Oh, he went out with a bang, didn't he?
Yeah.
He goes whack.
Been living in Melbourne too long saying that. This week we've got the MI Emirates in, I think it's a South Africa comp, is it? Or is it the UAE one?
I think it's the UAE one. The UAE one.
There you go.
Yeah.
MI Emirates, righto. Yep. Another one's called Super King, so that could be in South Africa. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Mumbai Indians Emirates.
Yeah, okay.
What? Yeah, but they've got Pollard, Bravo, Pooran and Trent BOULT.
Nicky Pooran, but he plays for Sunrisers, doesn't he? I don't know.
Yeah.
It gets you, I don't know. I felt like my mind with the future of cricket conversation, notwithstanding the fact that we're seeking sponsorship for the IPL next But like my mind is going back, is like regressing 10 years to the conversation about what's T20 cricket anyway.
Right.
What does it all mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like I've talked to some higher level cricket execs in the last couple of weeks, and one point a lot of them make around private equity and stuff like that is that like, well, there's a reason why people want to put money into T20 cricket. That's where the eyeballs are. That's kind of what Indians want, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That may be true, but by the same token, you could flip it and say like, commercial types are just repackaging cricket into something that you can sell some ads around, because you can't sell them really around test matches or even ODIs now in the environment, in the fucking Netflix, TikTok, entertainment environment we're now in. Like really just repackaging cricket. So this is a chat from 10 years ago. What's the worth of T20 cricket? It's extremely old. But like I've just been thinking existentially about how like, well, just because heaps of people watch T20 cricket doesn't mean that people are voting with their feet. It's just what they're being given, and it's what's most marketable, and it's what's best for commerce. Like I think about and I haven't spoken to Zampa about this, by the way, but like someone like Adam Zampa, he would have grown up watching Shane Warne deliver balls that drifted outside leg and hit the top of off. The most beautiful expression of the craft of leg spin that he will have spent, tens of thousands of hours more crafting and honing. And I think about T20 cricket and how, like for Adam Zampa, who is a world-class T20 bowler, record to demonstrate it, like the ultimate manifestation of his art now and his craft is like, firstly, just 24 rocks.
Yeah.
And secondly, maybe 12 to 20 of them are cut shots.
Yeah.
A good ball is bowling low, flat cut shots, hit the bloke on the sweeper. That's a great over. You've really executed that skill well.
Yeah.
And you might be able to bowl a couple at the stumps and challenge there, or toss one or two up if you're feeling extra risky. For batters, okay, Will Jack scored 100 in the 100 this week.
Right.
But like bats can't really score 100. Blokes can't really take 5 wickets. There's no examination, And I think, like I said, this is a chat from 10 years ago. Like the horse is bolted on T20 cricket. You can have fun watching it. It washes over you. There's some great levers and bombs, etc.
Yeah.
But like, and maybe I just sound really old, but it's it lacks the endurance examination of some of the longer forms. And I think that's what a lot of people, now that we're seeing just how prominent T20 cricket is about to become in our lives in the next little while. And I do have pictures of my sons in RCB jerseys, by the way. Like thinking, I'm really gonna miss that thing that I got into.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about like the 100, and there's obviously so much criticism of it, and I wonder if like part of that is it doesn't ladder up to anything. That is that there is no international 100 tournament, and so like there's something about the international sphere which at least has context, because it's like you're very patriotic about your nationalist.
It's nation states,
right?
Exactly. Turn on 7:30 report, and Australia's trying to be a middle power, meddling in China stuff, and there's gold medals at stake in terms of foreign policy.
Right.
No, there's gold medals at stake at Com Games. Like I can. Because I was born in a certain land, I can actually feel like I own 100. Do I feel anything for the Phoenix?
Yeah, for the Trent Rockets.
For the Rockets.
I mean the Welsh Fides. I mean that is.
I do for the Houston Rockets.
James Harden playing for. Yeah.
That's right. Hakeem Olajuwon before that. I remember I took a day off school, it was a day off in 1995. I was in year 5, and I played NBA on my PC, like NBA 95, whatever the fuck it was.
And what's a PC?
Exactly.
It's a personal computer.
And I was just Hakeem Olajuwon just dominated.
Yeah,
it was also I was Utah Jazz as well. Anyway, this is a podcast.
So it's just like at least international cricket has some sort of it has meaning. It feels like it has meaning. Now in January, there's going to be fucking 4 domestic T20 tournaments at the same time. The Big Bash, the UAE, Cricket South Africa League, and the Bangladesh T20 League all at the same time. Why the fuck should anyone watch any of it? Because there's not that many good players.
Oh, Moeen's hitting them well at the moment.
he did something the other day, did he? There's something that means anything. But it's also
a
like
picture of Glenn Maxwell on the 100. He was batting left-handed.
Okay.
So no lid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looks weird in a sort of light blue.
Blue. I was going to say Maxwell in blue. You don't see it.
And obviously, like Trent BOULT he asked to be removed from the New Zealand Central Contract list to focus on franchise cricket. He's 34, Trent BOULT. And I even feel like his last test match, I'm guessing, is going to be like this petering out in this England series he just played. There's like, even that to me is sad, but like maybe his read of it is like, well, first of all, I don't really care that much. And I've probably got if I play 4 years of franchise cricket, bit of bunce. Good for him. But but I feel sad about that. That like even like Trent Boult, one of New Zealand's greatest ever cricketers. Is that fair to say? Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Like that, it just sort of peters out like that. And James Anderson is playing 40 and playing Test match cricket, and they're talking about Stuart Broad could do it, but like why would he? Because in the next couple of years, by the time Broad gets to 40, then like it's just all going to be franchise cricket. So like, why would he bother doing that? Like, I feel a bit sad by it, man. Like it's just like cricket's on, and we talked to Jonathan Liew about this as well. But like, is cricket better by more people having a vague interest in it?
Semi-interest, yeah.
Yeah, or like a small amount of people really caring about it. Because mate, and it could just be confected by who I see on the internet talking about cricket. But when people listen to this, and people on Twitter and on the internet generally, they seem to all really want more cricket, more test match cricket. But do they, or do they just say that? Do you actually ever watch that much test match cricket? And then our perspective is skewed because of the job that we have. So I don't know, but it just feels like, yeah, there's more cricket more than ever. But then obviously Meg Lanning, for instance, as an example, has won everything. Is stepping away from cricket indefinitely, and there's Ben Stokes has done that, and there's just been so many breaks. Glenn Maxwell had this about a year ago. There's heaps of England players during COVID period, during the bubbles and all that. More and more guys are like, I just don't want to keep playing this kind of cricket. So,
it isn't fun. People taking breaks from cricket from burnout is not funny at all. But this, like, what we're seeing more like on a macro level is like cricket kind of aligning with the like global forces in sport, like club over country, private money in, even, sometimes even sovereign wealth money coming in and beating private money, and the best players have a short career and chase that money, and then the like central administrations just can't compete. They can't generate that money themselves. But like
sovereign cash,
you see,
that's
I want the sovereign cash.
Sovereign cash.
Sovereigns, sovereign Bunce.
Sovereign Bunce.
I think we just found the title for the show. Yeah. But like we see it in soccer, like football. Yeah. See it in like even baseball, NBA, just always on sport. Always on, wash over you
Christmas
sport,
Day games,
lobby sport.
Yeah.
And it just sort of doesn't work with cricket because cricket's just too brutal on the person. It's like cricket. Yeah. There aren't enough cricketers who want to do that.
Right.
And then also it's like cricket's like, nah, I need breaks, man. It's not an always on game.
Well, I was just thinking like I didn't describe well enough why I enjoy the test match cricket. And like the cricket, the nature of the game, I feel like and test cricket, it's like like all of our shows are funnier when a test match is on because there's context, there's battles, it's a drawn out experience. It's a test of your character, who you are as a person, your flaws revealed. And that's fucking great. And Big Bash is like, the guys are getting so good, it's like, chase down 180. And I'm so numbed by like this serotonin hits of bollocks hitting sixes and these amazing catches where they catch it and they step over the rope and they flick it 30 metres to the guy at mid-wicket instead. And like, it's all a bit like, that was fucking Dorito crumbs all over me. Like, like it's just all a bit... So it's
not as many Doritos in the packet anymore either. Like, when you're a kid,
it's mostly air.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, and you hold it up and you go, look at this. It starts at halfway. Someone tries to take a chip, you're just holding it.
Yeah. Although saying that, there are narratives to be found in T20 cricket. And Ross Taylor, who's released a book, I think it's called Black and White. Is that what it's called? He says he was slapped 3 to 4 times across the face by one of the Rajasthan Royals owners. If I can read a quote from you, Pez, this sounds fucking red hot. This is like early days of the IPL. He says in the book, the chase was 195. I was LBW for a duck and we didn't get close. Afterwards, the team, support staff and management were in the bar on the top floor of the hotel. Liz Hurley was there with Warnie. One of the Royals owners said to me, Ross, we didn't pay you $1 million to get a duck, and slapped me across the face 3 or 4 times. He was laughing and they weren't hard slaps. But I'm not sure that it was entirely play acting. Under the circumstances, I wasn't going to make an issue of it, but I couldn't imagine it happening in many professional sporting environments. This is a real IPL. This is like when it was fucking wild and loose, and Liz Hurley's there with the king, and hotel parties, rooftops, $1 million, get a duck. What are you doing? Slap me across the face.
I don't know what he's talking about. Like, who among us hasn't got out for a duck and got slapped across the face 4 times by a volunteer that thinks they're in a bigger station than they are?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and he goes on in that book, mate, to to detail racism during his 16-year career as well, like within New Zealand.
Yeah.
Calls it a pretty white sport. He said he was a brown face in a vanilla lineup. In many ways, dressing room banter is the barometer. A teammate used to tell me, "You're half a good guy, Ross, but which half is good? You don't know what I'm referring to." I was pretty sure I did, he says. He says other players also had to put up with comments that dwelt on their ethnicity in all probability. A New Zealander listening to those sorts of comments would think, oh, okay, it's just a bit of banter. There's more quotes there from some of the content he's releasing I guess to let people know that he's got this book out, but I'd get just so grim to read that shit, you know. And then as soon as I say that, I think about the people who've given us feedback, going, "Oh, I don't like when they talk about the political or the racism stuff." If that bothers you, fuck off. You don't have to listen. But yeah, so I'm sorry, sad.
Yeah.
I'm really sad to read that. You know, he's an ornament to the sport.
100%.
It sucks that he had to
100%.
that bullshit.
But that doesn't even make a difference. But like, it just seems like one of the all-time nicest guys, and obviously a close friend of the show. So
close friend.
So there's that as well. Cricket Australia released a 5-year plan, Pez. You know, I'm sick for a 5-year plan. Haven't got one myself, but I like when sport institutions have. I don't even know what I'm doing this afternoon.
Still trying to get through a 5-day plan.
Probably legs, if I had to guess.
Do people do it in the gym? Like, they have a 5-year plan for their body?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Then we've got a 5-day plan.
5-year rig plan.
I'll try and go once this week.
Yeah.
Cricket at the Olympics hasn't been knocking about since 1900. What was that one? Paris?
Yeah.
Not my favourite. My favourite was St. Louis, 1904.
Paris, 19. Yeah, and that was funny. Like in the 5-year plan, it was pointed out that cricket will be back. They want to get cricket back.
I'll get it back in.
The last time being 1900.
Right. But that was just French cricket.
Well, it was held at the Velodrome Vincent.
Right.
Vincent. Now, it was meant to be played between Belgium, France, Great Britain, and the Netherlands, because immediately, as soon as I said that, I'm like, is that Aussie gold?
Yeah.
Is that Aussie gold? I expect it. Retrospectively, I expect that gold, but Australia weren't partaking. Belgium and Netherlands withdrew from that. So it was and Great Britain obviously competing as a couple of nations there. Of
course. Team GB.
What's new? So Great Britain v France. Now, Great Britain batted first, made 117.
Right.
It was good on that deck at the Velodrome Vincent.
Yeah. Short square boundaries.
Short square, good 6 hitting ground.
Yeah, it's a good.
Bowled France out for 78.
Yeah. Mbappe, no good.
Declared then at 145 for 5, and so France did 185. France was bowled out for 26.
Oh,
so ran through them. Now, so it says 158 run. Yeah. But they only did it with 5 minutes remaining in the match.
Oh, 5 minutes.
Yeah. And then so the Great Britain team was awarded silver medals and the French team bronze medals. Together with miniature statues of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, so that's a guaranteed medal for France, who don't even play the code and circuiting. It's one of the great results in cricket. I would imagine one of the great results.
That is very good.
Writing in the Journal of Olympic History, Ian Buchanan describes that both sides, inverted commas, were made up of distinctly average club cricketers. It was a 12-a-side game. And it just makes you think like
a Toulouse twos.
Oh, like I think the Great Britain side was made up of like 2 clubs or something, like Somerset and Dover or some shit.
Okay. Dover was strong that year, to be fair.
They were.
The White Cliffs. The Dover White Cliffs.
The White Cliffs, yeah. Had to change that name for PC reasons.
They had to, yeah.
And so I'm just thinking, France, it's a home Olympics.
Yeah.
Guaranteed bronze.
Yeah.
Playing a game they don't even play.
Yeah.
Circuit.
Yeah.
That's a great result for France.
Yeah.
Great Britain win, don't even know it with gold.
Yeah, it was an absolute goat track though, wasn't it?
It was a goat track.
An absolute goat track.
117 was a good score on that deck.
I really like early Olympics stuff where like the first person to ever be banned from a sport for drug testing was the guy who ran in a marathon. I forget which Olympics it was. I don't think it was 1896. Ancient. Was it ancient? No. It actually might be.
Peds in the ancient Olympics.
But it's on DMT. There was it might have been Sweden. It might have been Stockholm. I think that was 1908. But anyway, the guy ran the marathon. His performance enhancing drug was alcohol.
Yeah,
he had a couple of schooners. Tipped a couple in. Then went for a run. Then he got done. He
did the urine test and got pissed.
No, mate, you were dehydrated as fuck. Anyway, but they're talking about Olympics being in. So the Brisbane Olympics is 2032, and then the next Olympics in 2024 is actually in Paris again. Then 2028 is LA, and they're thinking about LA.
Possibly, they're presenting on it.
Right. I mean, we'd have a look at that, wouldn't we? We'd have a look at going to LA for the Olympics.
The US circuit, bit of cricket stuff.
Yeah.
A massive look at it.
Also, CA want to win 3 ICC tournaments, both men and women, so 6. Australia want to win 6.
3 each?
3 each. 3 each.
In the next 5 years?
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Not enough here. I mean, if the women lose a game in the next 5 years, bin.
And when you say bin, what are you like? You bin in terms of your interest in them, or bin in terms of just all of them physically?
Because they hold such a strong place in my heart, where they're just absolute serial winners.
And that's even with the rising Asian century.
Sure, and that will come, but not in the next 5 years. I mean, it actually could be the next 5 minutes.
Isn't the next 5 years basically the last 5 years of cricket as we know it with the FTP and stuff? And after that, it's just Super Kings and
I think it's just esports. Yeah,
and esports.
Anyway, so six flags.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the use of the term ICC tournament, which has really crept in, and the use of the word fixture for what used to be called fixtures. It's an Aussie rules thing. Yeah, the fixture.
Well, finally, Test match cricket is back on the calendar, Pez. It starts tomorrow as we record this. England and South Africa. That first test is at Lords, well, to start this tour, the Lions absolutely fucking smoked South Africa by an innings and 56 runs. Yeah. Even when South Africa made 433 in the first dig. Then the Lions got 672. Duckett and Harry Brook got hundreds. Bilbo got 92 as well. Then they rolled South Africa for 183. So it doesn't look great for South Africa off the bat there. They've also, Dwayne Olivier is out with a hip flexor. Also, Rabada is a question mark. South Africa, great bowling stocks. Really, really good bowling stocks. The batting will be the issue, I feel like, for them. And they're not even sure who's going to bat number 5 for them at the moment, as I understand. But yeah, it's all about baseball, isn't it? It's still baseball stuff. Mark Boucher said if you mention baseball in the press conference, you got to do a tequila.
I'll bring the bottle, he said.
I'll bring the bottle.
And it didn't get mentioned. Whereas Dean Elgar said, I just want to play 3 really hard test matches.
Oh, yeah. I like Dean Elgar.
I do too.
Yeah.
But it's just gonna be a baseball thing again, right? And like,
yep. No,
I don't see a problem with England like delivering decks for their conditions.
Yeah,
they've been doing it for 100 years, just as every other team has.
Yeah,
it's just that like instead of green seamers and like sort of nibbling people out, they're like reverse engineering flat decks for later in the game.
Yeah.
And that their strength is now chasing 4th innings runs at 5 and over.
yeah. That is quite a swing.
It's amazing. It's an amazing thing to do. Like to be able to do that. And I say it with respect, but and I'm happy to watch much more of it. But like it will get boring because it's just one day cricket. Like, but England have the jump on other teams at the moment with that sort of shit, and they need some wins because they haven't had any really in the last like 18 months. So. Getting those W's, but if we're going to have extreme conditions, like I still much prefer like batters overcoming a raging turner rather than watching like seamers negotiating flat decks on day 4 and 5.
It's just an extension of T20 cricket, isn't it?
Well, I actually think like it is. It's a method for the times. It's quite intelligent, really, to do it like that. But like how does it? Like how's watching seamers try because Elgar's come out and said like to see him do it against our seamers. It's like, mate. These blokes can smash anybody who exists in the world if the wicket's flat enough.
Well, start coming Hazelwood.
Start coming Hazelwood sort of steam in.
Bit of variation. A line at one end, tie it down. Like maybe Heady, couple of overs in there, Greeny.
Can bowlers even outwit? Can bowlers outwit a flat deck? Really? Like, how do you outwit a flat deck other than bowling 170 k's an hour at the scone? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe find people who can chuck it.
Yeah. Okay, we go there.
No, not yet. I mean,
South Africa's coming off 2-1 home series win against India. They're a good. They're top of the Test Championship.
Yeah.
That was a great series too. Elgar tough runs. Kohli screaming into the stump mark.
Yeah.
And then from England's side, Jimmy Anderson's 40 now. Jimmy Anderson's opening the bowling. He's 40.
Yeah, in Test match cricket. I also like that Mark Boucher said, we want to play aggressive cricket, but you've got to be smart with regards to that as well.
That's right. Be aggressive, but
don't
take any risks.
Run hard, no silly singles. Be aggressive, but play within yourself. Respect the ball. Go hard, not hard enough.
Yeah.
Always smart, never hard. Yeah, so I like that kind of gear as well. So the first test at Lords, second at Manchester, third at the Oval. It's in the space of 4 weeks, I think. So the first 2 tests are just about back-to-back. And
South Africa, good record at Lords, won 4 of 6. I think everyone just turns up at
Yeah,
Lords. Away
everyone-
teams, they just turn up.
everyone
Like,
turns
okay, we better play well here.
Yeah.
We're at Lords.
Yeah.
Folks is back in. England's otherwise unchanged. Maybe Ollie Robinson they're talking about. Probably not. Rabada's got the ankle. I mean, this is the last time, I think it was the last time England and South Africa played test matches. I was over there. I got out to a day at the Oval in 2017, I want to say. And
have a look at it.
I was having a look at like England's lead seamer being Toby Roland Jones.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. It's a halfback.
And guys, singing about Toby Roland Jones.
Right, yeah.
And so they've come a long way, England. Like with respect to Roland Jones, good player or whatever, but the team has a bit more teeth than Toby Roland Jones.
Maybe more heavy metal. Let's talk about the 100, Pez, before we talk to our dear friend Johnny Lieu. Alana King, friend of the show, of course, last week. We're talking about all of her successes, everything she's already won in the past basically 6 months. Basically won everything.
Hates winning.
And now taking a hat-trick for the Trent Rockets against Manchester Originals. Took 4 for 15 in that game. Almost took a hat-trick against Barbados in the Commonwealth Games. Except Meg Lanning dropped the catch. So Alana King, just doing everything, doing everything. And it was also a nice time it being at Manchester, Old Trafford as well, and obviously legacy with Shane Warne.
She wears sunnies as well. She's got a
rock and roll.
She's got a bit of style.
Yeah,
Kingy.
Yeah,
she's not giving us permission to call her Kingy.
Don't think so. Don't think so. But let's talk about Marcus STOINIS, Pez, who accused Mohammed Hasnain of chucking.
Well, appeared to. He just walked off the ground and
He might be warming up.
practicing javelin.
Yeah. Stoin next over that end. Okay.
Yeah. He was just starting to warm up. That's right. He usually bowls a chop out.
Yeah.
Can you even bowl a chop out in the 100, like a set of 5 or
Yeah. Off on the same end or whatever you do. I don't know how it works.
He got out to Hasnain.
Yeah.
who's had issues with his action in the past.
He
sorted it out.
Yeah, he was banned
He
for
got
6 months
banned,
or something.
sorted it, cleared, good to go.
Yeah.
Knocks over Stoinis. Stoinis is walking off.
Yeah.
And rolls his arm over and bent and throws an imaginary ball.
So Stoinis won't be formally sanctioned, but he was spoken to by the match referee, naughty boy. So I was saying to you before, Pez, like nothing winds up a dressing room more than when there's a hint of a bloke who might be chucking it.
That's right.
He might be chucking it. Now, I like this in many capacities because I've always liked the idea. I actually played against a guy who played for Sydney Uni. He actually got me out more than anyone else in my grade cricket life. And he actually got done for chucking. And that made me feel good because he was like, this guy had to cheat to get me out. Now, Stoinis has obviously walked to the field here. And this guy, if this guy bowled legally, I would have fucking smashed him. But he had to cheat to get me out. Now, Bradman did the same thing. I picked the wrong one.
Yep.
I picked the wrong one.
Picked it. He said that. Just
the cheat to get me out. Get a pebble.
Mate, nothing gets the juices flowing in the change room.
Yeah.
Mate, except with the exception of buzzers, but it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Like in the pavilion, you're out, you're in the batting team. Buzzers is a brief moment of euphoria. It's a climax with no foreplay.
Yeah.
It's just bang.
Yeah.
Great buzzers.
Like a surprise sneeze.
If people are asleep. People are literally asleep or talking about gambling or women, in my experience.
Right,
and then all of a sudden there's like someone just yells out buzzers and the whole crowd, everyone's just running to the fence, just fucking chanting, buzzers, mate. You could be 5 for 60, and it's just buzzers. Everyone wakes up. It's the
Absolute
best part of the day.
But we lost by an innings. I fucking threw one for 5.
The suspicion that an opposition player is throwing the ball, it starts with a whisper.
Oh, no, it's always one person. Is this by chuck it?
Yeah, man, it's usually someone who's got out to them.
Yeah.
And walks up, man, he's chucking.
He's chucking.
He's squinting your eyes a bit as you do it.
Yeah. That's right. And you tilt your head a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And because in cricket, all you need is one excuse to lose the game, and then that game becomes invalid.
Often that can just be about the quality of the opposition as blokes.
Absolutely.
Worst blokes. Fuck these blokes.
Or umpires, penguins normally.
Yeah.
It's a penguin thing or a wicket thing, like something with the deck at opposition tees.
Yep.
Or if a bloke's chucking it, you just need one. Like it's literally just the bubbling up and confection of an excuse.
Absolutely.
And also just the problem with chucking is that chucking is the first thing you learn to overcome to actually play cricket. Like it's because the natural way to deliver a ball is to throw it. Your human biology is like, well, I'm trying to get it down the other end and get the person out. I'm going to throw the ball. That's how my body is constructed. Not in cricket though. In cricket, they put little regulations on you. Yeah. No, I got to keep it straight. Yeah, and so when you learn how to do it, you get proud. And so anyone who chucks it, it's like you're literally failing the first piece of coordination that cricket demands of you to make this game fair.
Well, even in biology sense, like even like a coach, like is just when you're 3 years old, you might roll one over in the corridor to to your dad, but then your dad is the coach in that moment. He'll be like, no, son, straight arm, because he won't have a chucker in this house.
No, yeah. Well, believe me, I've tried that, and then you just sort of learn If you try and coach your son, he'll never talk to you. So you sort of just got to ride it and hope that it kind of irons itself out.
Yeah, sort of cats in the cradle, a bit of two stuff.
Sort of mumbling that to him, and he's saying, "What, Dad? What are you talking about?" So there's no like. If you look at the 100 highlights, I think they've actually cut it so you can't see yourself.
I think the 100 needs this controversy.
Yeah.
It needs this, because I can't have another conversation about the graphics and trying to understand it. It needs controversy. It needs these, angry moments.
Yeah.
It needs some rivalry.
Yeah.
I don't even know who this guy plays for.
Right. I mean, some might suggest you guys are being nice to STOINIS because you're friends with him and you like him. This is just journalistic integrity right here. I think STOINIS is doing a service to the competition. Because Hasnain... He's been cleared, The kid has worked on his action. He's good to go.
He's good to go.
The 100 just needs some of this kind of stuff. You know? STOINIS got a bit of mist. Okay. Okay.
I think the 100 could be improved if it had a bullpen. Manager comes out, you got to hand the ball to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Like in baseball, when when the bullpen goes through its rotation, then they have entrance music and they walk from the outfield.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a fucking scene. I want a bit of that.
Well, this is the thing, mate. Like, that's what baseball does well. You got a bullpen, you got guys hitting up.
Yep.
Like, why can't they just have nets on the field where you're watching guys hit up? Because, this is the way society's going anyway. I can't watch one thing for any period of time. Even when you're talking on this podcast, I'm just checking my messages, which is my problem, not yours. Highly compelling person. Just say, why don't they just get nets going as well? So, if you're a kid, you can watch something else, head down to the nets.
Especially in England where the nets are actually on the outfield.
Yeah.
So it's like blokes having to hit up.
Well, sometimes there's trees on the outfield. You just go climb a tree.
Climb a tree.
Yeah, kids can climb a tree. Got to be under this height.
That's actually a new element of fan engagement. Well, we've seen pools at the Gabba, for instance, and we've seen that in the BPL as well. Just trees, nature. People getting outside more.
A little canopy across the top of the ground so you can actually walk on the canopy and look at it from the top. These are all ideas.
There needs to be a TikTok tent at cover.
Yep.
Just a tent set up there, people doing TikTok dances, get your likes up there, get engagement through the roof. What's happening in the cricket? Don't know.
Get your likes up. Okay, Will Jacks scored 100. Okay. The Spirit are good. Birmingham have good players.
That's about it, isn't it?
That's about it with 100.
Mate, what's January going to be like? There's fucking 4 tournaments going at the same time.
Can't wait. I've got to watch every single one. Fucking eyeballs prized open like in a Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, Mo and Ali had to leave in the 8th over to fly to South Africa to finish that game over there at the same time. And,
Good levers, though.
Great levers. Great levers. All right, Pez, well, we should speak to Jonathan Lowe, friend of the show. Stop saying that. But before we do that, we're going to speak to our dear friends at Budgy Smuggler, who make, of course, all of this happen at budgysmuggler.com.au. What are we talking about today?
Well, we've got the hoodie on. We're in the hoodie today. If you're watching via YouTube, it's a fucking warm piece. It's a real warm piece, of clothing. Yeah. And so I'm just showcasing that. I'm really enjoying it. Again, cold in Sydney, Melbourne, eastern states. Not so much northern states, which I miss. But you can get all of that kind of kit with Budgy Smuggler. You've got Father's Day coming up as well. Analytics suggest that more men than women listen to this show. So I suspect that might be relevant.
That's an inkling.
You could be a dad. You might have a dad. So get involved. If it's not good, if Father's Day isn't the thing for you, just get around some warm kit. And then, of course, it's footy finals time coming up. You can get your custom smugglers. If you go for a run, you want to keep things a bit tighter in and around the areas, then get your Budgy Smugglers there. I've got Bears Smugglers. We've actually got someone who's sent in some North Sydney Bears Smugglers in Eastern Europe as well.
Really? I didn't see that.
I was I'm going to post it out there. We still want your smugglers in the wild. Next week, we have a major campaign that we'll be launching. We're actually going to ask people to seriously get involved.
Yeah.
Because anything other than TGC
crushing
fucking
victory,
domination. And I have to say, and I'll talk more about this next week. Like, I think it's fair to say we don't ask for much from the audience, really. We don't ask people to, like, get their phones out and do some shit, but it's going to happen next week. Now, we have to persuade them, obviously. We make it worth their while.
Oh, yeah.
Make it worth their while.
It'll be value.
But next week, there's a fucking big thing coming. And like, people, look, I'm going to try and convince people to get involved.
Just you're talking about the winter seasons there, Pez. I want to talk about the summer seasons up north. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine in the UK who actually it's his birthday today, so I need to message him later. But he was just
I thought he was about to get a shout out. For that.
No, fuck that. Yeah. But he was at the cricket ground that we played at back in the day, and the outfit was brown. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot. We've spoken about this for months now, but a lot of people back over there on the continent gallivanting around in swimwear. I'm a big fan of that. Now, other conversations around obviously when Australia won gold last week by playing a player that had COVID. And I was just thinking, is COVID over? I'm not sure if COVID's over. I don't know what it is anymore. Do we still have it?
Is anybody saying it's over? Who's saying it's over?
Oh, I just did just then, so that's something to think about for the fans out there, for the customers.
Well, some might say it mightn't exist.
So I like that people are out there, again, close quarters, close contacts in swimwear, touching each other. That's what I like. It's hot. It's hot as fuck. I'm enjoying that. Yep. That's all I'm saying.
For all of that swimwear, all of that warm shit and more, and to stay tuned for the campaign next week as well. More information at budgysmuggler.com.au.
Here he is, Jonathan Luke.
Always a pleasure to have Johnny Lieu from The Guardian with us here on The Grade Cricketer. It's been a little while. Johnny, the English summer kind of reflects the global calendar now. The 100 takes up top billing, and there's a bit of international cricket dotted around it, like little planets orbiting the big sun. So with that in mind, how good has the 100 been for you this summer?
I'm aware of it. I'm aware that there is a 100 tournament taking place. I mean, I have to apologise in advance, both to you and to all of your listeners, that I've been on 2 weeks holiday. This is my last day of holiday, and I was in Holland, where there was very little coverage of the 100 to speak of. But yeah, I mean, it's been. I thought the Test summer was great. Then there was a load of white ball cricket that taking place in various formats against various teams, and now we have the 100, which is of course all over terrestrial TV and Sky and the socials, and I find it's kind of it's not actually necessary unless you're sort of physically specifically covering the 100. The point of the 100 is not really to follow it. It's just to go to watch it, take it in, maybe have it on in the background, and say, "Oh wow," every few minutes, and then it just kind of passes through you. I mean, I wonder, maybe we'll get to this later on, but it's a totally different form of consuming cricket, which I think is, we see it with the IPL a little bit, where it just kind of washes through you. You don't know who's winning. I couldn't tell you. I think the Spirit are doing all right in the men's, and I don't know. So I apologize for my lack of professionalism in advance. But yeah, it has been. I can confirm exclusively that the 100 has been happening.
It's it's on. It's a thing that's on. Johnny, it feels to me a bit like all this white ball cricket is all a bit the same. Do you remember when COVID happened at first, and then everything stopped, and then there was one game of football when the Bundesliga came back, and I think it was Dortmund against someone, and like the world was like watching that, and then it was just on, so you watched it, but you didn't really care about it. And I find that that's interesting with the 100 as well. That it's sort of contextless cricket going on a bit. It's something that it's on that you watch, but you don't really care about it. But it's on, so you watch it.
And to the organisers and the sponsors and the broadcasters, that's all they really care about. It does, they don't need you to make a kind of emotional engagement with it. It just has to be on, as long as you've got the telly on, as long as you're sort of viewing the Twitter clip or whatever it is. That's the point of it, and that is something quite new, and that's something that I think crosses a lot of across a lot of different sports, where it is essentially content to fill airtime. And I love putting the IPL on, and not really knowing whether we're at the start of the season or the end of the season, or whether I'm watching a playoff, or it's all kind of the same substance. It's like meat. I'll give you like an example from my recent experience on holiday. I went to I was at a holiday camp with the kids, and they had a like an all you can eat buffet, and you're probably familiar with an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? You just sort of
Yes.
pile a little bit of meat on, a little bit of veg, and you try and construct a meaningful plate. But within 2 or 3 minutes, it's all just kind of combined with each other, and you have what is essentially the strangest meal, a sort of meal you would never order or cook for yourself specifically. Just a kind of mix of spaghetti and salad and meatballs and fish, and like, what is this? What is this taste? Obviously, pasta salad. There's a huge dollop of pasta salad in the middle for no reason. And it's all kind of mixed together. You don't really know what you're eating anymore. And that's cricket.
Johnny, in the last 2 months, we've seen the $6.2 billion IPL media rights deal, new T20 leagues in South Africa and the UAE, Trent Boult negotiating a release from his central contract, Ian Chappell encourages Chris Lynn to take Cricket Australia to court, etc. This is just in 2 months. So you also cover European football and the English Premier League with great distinction. So you know about these themes. Like, is there a way cricket can still be cricket in the face of the sheer power of private capital into the game? Like, can we learn to love the MI Emirates?
I think, we will have to ultimately. It's like that line that Toby Ziegler says in the West Wing about Islamic fundamentalists. They'll like us when we win. And when the Royals and the super kings or the super giants have taken over the world, that's what we will watch. And it is kind of the same with European football. The difference being that there is a distinct start of the season and there is a distinct end of the season where everything climaxes and the things that everyone knows are going to be won get won. And there isn't any sense of that in cricket because of all these competing jurisdictions. It is essentially a free-for-all, power grab, land grab, a time grab, essentially. And I think this period of flux will end, and it'll probably end with the BCCI and the IPL franchises essentially deciding what we are going to watch and when. And that's going to be a terrible thing for many reasons, but it will, I think, it will make it easier to work out what's important, because what's important is the thing that we are being told to watch, and that is obviously the thing that makes the most money. But it may just become easier to follow, hopefully.
The in January, there's going to be 4 separate T20 tournaments on at the same time. There'll be the Big Bash.
I can't wait. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Some of the players are going to be in different tournaments as well. You can sort of follow them across it.
Yeah. There's going to be the Big Bash, the UAE League, the Cricket South Africa one, and the Bangladesh T20 League as well. And then, but like in next week, I think England playing against South Africa in tests, and then obviously Australia's playing South Africa as well in our summer down here. And that to me is what I care about. And obviously what I care about should be the main thing, what everyone enjoys. But it feels to me that like people who watch cricket and enjoy it, they really like the test matches. I feel that way, but more people have a passive interest in T20. So like, it might be a moot point because if you get more money, more eyeballs in one thing, i.e. T20 leagues, and that's what's always going to happen. But I just don't know if it's good for more people to be interested in cricket in a sort of vague on in the background amount, or if less people should really enjoy test match cricket or more traditional forms, but like maybe that doesn't even matter because money wins always.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, we are quite rare as a breed in that especially you guys, because I cover a lot of other sports, but you guys have to be all over all of the cricket, and you really, really totally absorb yourself in cricket in a way that most people don't. Most people who aren't journalists or broadcasters don't and don't have to, and probably don't have the time to. And what I don't really know is whether there are kind of distinct audiences growing for these different competitions. You know, how big is the Venn diagram crossover between a test match audience and a Big Bash audience, for example? I don't think we really know that. And you know, any amount of market research will only ever get you kind of a vaguish sort of answer to that, because people drift in and out of things, and tastes fluctuate, and you know, big events come along. I mean, I wrote about this last summer, I think, about this time last year, when you know, the T20 Blast finished, and then the second half of the IPL basically resumed at the same time, and this impossibility of following all this cricket. And I think for most people, for most fans, it is, even if you love all cricket in all its forms, it is impossible to follow all of it. So you do kind of, in the same way that you curate your own, you know, Twitter feed, or you create your, you know, you curate your own Instagram or Facebook, or you will, I guess, subconsciously create a personalized cricketing calendar that makes sense to you. And for some people, it will involve, you know, going to the 100 or the Big Bash or the IPL or whatever, and maybe test matches is something that you keep an eye on. Or maybe it's the other way around, where, you know, your calendar is built around red ball and you're vaguely aware of other things that are going on. I think that's the only way of sanely negotiating this, if you're not professionally engaged in the sport. And I think even if you are, it's getting kind of unmanageable.
Just for anyone listening out there, we're still open for IPL sponsorship in May. Johnny, ahead of the test starting this week, England, South Africa, Daniel Gallen interviewed Dean Elgar, piece in The Guardian, really good piece, encourage people to read it. Among other things, Elgar said, "I've got absolutely no interest in the style that they've played," before saying, "I'd like to see them do it against our seamers," which seems to suggest he has some interest in England's style. Do you think there are any Bazball proof bowling attacks out there, or is it all pretty doable on flat tracks with good vibes? Or does none of it really matter because it's just a movement for the times?
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading, you know, Elgar did an interview in The Guardian. He also did a very, very good one when in the Wisden Cricket Monthly magazine. And you know, I think if we're going to talk about Bazball, how Bazball will fare against various attacks in various conditions, you could scarcely concoct better conditions for it than on really quite flat pitches in pretty good weather, in a home series against an opposition attack that, frankly, in New Zealand, it practically, you know, looked pretty undercooked. Those were the perfect conditions, I think, for Bazball, whatever you want to call it, to flourish. There are no kind of 5-day dusty spinning wickets to negotiate. You don't have to face a Kookaburra new ball, and you don't have to face Cummins and Hazel with the new ball or whatever. So I think, you know, this series against South Africa will be a slightly tougher test. I mean, if the weather continues as it is now, it's been a heat wave in Britain for what feels like weeks now, like 30+ degree temperatures, and the pitches and the ball, you know, specifically have been very conducive to heavy run scoring. But all that, you know, given all that, you know, taking all that to one side, South Africa's attack, I think, is slightly better and more varied than what New Zealand's was. And I don't think New Zealand used their attack very well. I think, you know, Jamieson obviously got injured midway through the series. Wagner came in, and BOULT, as we now know, was probably on his last drops of fuel, even though he also bowled very well at times. So South Africa, if they are fresher and they are better prepared, it will be a tougher test. But I think it's, you know, a lot will depend on the pitches and the conditions.
I hear you tempering expectations, Johnny, about what this team is achieving. I reckon at the beginning of this year, 6 months ago, it felt like England had about 3 quality test match players, and then 2 of those didn't even play in the West Indies. And now the Lions, the second team, have just beaten South Africa by an innings and 56 runs. There's guys scoring runnable hundreds, Billings 92, Brook, Duckett runs, wickets for everyone. And now it feels like they're the best team ever, but I feel like you're not getting carried away just yet. And I want to know why. Is there something in you which says, no, this is actually the greatest team that anyone's ever seen?
Well, it's not. I mean, and demonstrably it's not. And if you look at their records and you look at their pedigree, they are not. But what they are right now is in a moment, and they're in a kind of a headspace, and this is filtered down through the whole of English cricket, which kind of, for all its warring factions, does tend to have a prevailing weather, a prevailing mood, which filters through the whole edifice in a very strange way that I can't really explain. But when the England men's Test team are doing well, things feel good, and that just does tend to filter down. Personally, I think Baz Ball is full of bullshit, and that is not to point any fingers at the team themselves, or it is partly a confected, a kind of a snowballing catch-all term that I think has come to assume a lot more potency than it really deserves. And this is the way of the world, right? This is the way the media works. This is the way fandom works. You get excited about something, and you hype it and you hype it and you hype it, and you set it up for the inevitable fall when they're kind of 30 for 6 in Pakistan or whatever. So
yeah,
it's a mood, and as we all know, moods swing. We saw elements of this in the early Trevor Bayliss years, where they basically forgot how to draw, and they started smacking the ball around. There was it was positive feel good cricket. They built a red ball team around the gun white ball players, and it fell flat on its face eventually, as it does, because that's how sport works. And I think what's really interesting is that this team have said it doesn't really matter so much if we lose. They're kind of preempting the fact that this little bubble is not going to keep on growing and swelling forever, and they are, I think, mentally better prepared than a lot of their predecessors for when that does actually happen.
Thank you very much to JL, our JL, Jonathan Liew, for his time. Pez, we mentioned at the top of the show, we mentioned it somewhere before, Meg Lanning has taken an indefinite break due to burnout. Not sure if there's anything more to add to that, other than just, I suppose it's just, well, Meg Lanning, first of all, has won. She's literally won every single thing there is to win cricket.
You name it,
I suppose
she's won it.
There's going to be a women's IPL. They're talking about that happening next year.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So things are in the works for that at the moment. So I'd imagine she'd be now. Exactly. So imagine she'd be wanted by franchises for that. But just the amount of cricket, traveling away from home, COVID, all that stuff. It's actually no question, and the pressures of winning every week.
I think Pete Lawler was on Offsiders this week. And on the ABC and suggested that she was just burnt out. It's completely understandable. I sort of noted in quarters there was like this, like one or two people suggesting that like she's earned a break,
right?
Because she's won and scored runs. It's like, well, I don't think it's got anything to do with earning it.
Yeah.
Like really, there'd be heaps of cricketers who are potentially in that basket whether they've won or not. I don't know who I'm really arguing against there. Maybe it's just a casual comment made, but it's. You just look at the amount they play and how brutal the game is on the mind, and can be on the body. It's totally understandable.
I think at the end of World War II, when after the Victory in Europe Day, and then there was obviously a war in the Pacific after that. There was part of the American forces, they had to accrue enough points to be allowed to go home. And I want to know if Meg Lanning's got the points on the board.
You're saying that the US Army had sort of workload management.
A couple of stressies.
Yeah, that's right. No, he's on workload. He's on workloads. He's only, you can only bowl 10 balls in the nets or something.
6 paces.
You can only shoot 6 bullets.
That's right. Trigger fingers. Yeah. Pez, sad news. During the week, Rudi KOERTZEN passed away at age 73. Is that right? 73. Yeah. It's someone that's just part of, in many ways, part of your cricketing memories, isn't it?
Absolutely.
An umpire, same as I don't know, Venkatrathan or Buckner or Billy Bowden, even just era when you're growing up, and they become characters as part of the game that you enjoy. And Rudi KOERTZEN is certainly part of that because he was an international.
Dickie Bird, David Shepherd.
Yeah. Ian Gould.
Okay.
Steve
Randall. Just piercing eyes, locked eyes with you. There you go, but
Yeah.
Daryl Hare.
Yeah. We spoke about chucking before.
Well, just on that,
Yeah.
you've just said chucking. So Rudi Koertzen, really sad, tragic death, 73.
Right.
Stood in talk about some great shit with him. Stood in 331 international matches, which was a record until it was overtaken. And he retired in 2011. And I think as a compliment to him that I was like, wow, was it that long ago? In that, like, he still felt very present in terms of my imagination about the game. When he retired, the Aussies gave him a guard of honour. You know, that's how well he was respected. It's like, not bad for Aussies doing that for a fucking penguin.
Yeah. He must have won us a few games. couple of LBs.
It was funny. There's this great interview with Bryden Coverdale and him in Cricinfo in 2010 when he's retiring, and I don't have it in front of me. He makes a comment about like they said, who's the hardest person to umpire? He goes, 99% of umpires will tell you that it's Shane Warne, and I'm one of them. He goes, and he was just basically saying how, like, Warne was just a great bloke off the field, but then once he stepped onto the field, he was a monster. And he was talking about how he would just be at you and pressure you and pressure you and pressure you until he's like, and then you would make a mistake, and then you were done. You were gone for the rest of the game. And it's like, I didn't even understand that paradigm of cricket, like where a player can do that to an umpire. But that's what Warne did, and he respected it. And what was another one? Like he says when he started, Kepler Wessels came up to him, and so Koertzen says, you've got to have a thick skin. I remember when I started, Kepler Wessels said to me one day, you're not going to have an easy road to walk. It's going to be tough, and the guys are going to put so much pressure on you, and you're not going to survive. I said, Kepler, you don't really know me. The more pressure you put on me, the thicker my skin gets, and the thicker my skin gets, the more difficult it will be to get anything out of me. I would still do my job, but the more pressure they put on me, the fewer 50-50 decisions they would get in their favour. That was the type of person I was during that time. Confirmation that umpires are human and that you can, persuade them either way. And if you're a cunt to them, they don't help you. I like that Koertzen was essentially admitting that, at least when he was younger. Yeah. And then the other one he said was that he went and stood in his in matches for his local club Dispatch when he finished. But before he became an umpire, he was a player, and he said that he gave up playing because he had a bit of a suspect action. He's like, and the only way I could get it up at the nose or give him sniffs. Yeah. My words, not his. Yeah. Was to bend the elbow a little bit, and I think that's quite cool that you've basically got one of the most esteemed umpires of all time basically chucked it. It's kind of like takes one to know one, like he knew how to bend the rules. So it is like the best cops are probably the ones who sort of know the other side of crime. Yeah, on the edge of it. Yeah. I like the idea that he just had to stop, but he didn't fix the action. He said, I had to stop. I had to stop, I'm not fixing the action. No way, it's just how I bowl. Unthinkable. Yeah, unthinkable. So Varley, Rudi Koertzen. Indeed. Before we talk to Mark Wood, here goes a little bit on T20 Stars. Please. Yeah. Now, look, cricket season's coming around the corner. You got to dust off that kit. Now, if you're dusting off the kit and you're having a look at it and you're thinking it's a bit how you're going. Yeah. Right? And you might be. Yeah. And sometimes you need a little bit of retail therapy to fucking start. If that's on your mind, don't worry. Second slip, when you walk out to that first game, is all over it. If your kit's a little bit how you going, all you need is one mistake, one weakness to be revealed. And if you're dusting it off at all, it means you haven't been training in preseason, which means you're huge odds on to fail every game because you need to bat all the way through preseason. You need to do fitness all the way through preseason. You need cardio, all of those beep tests and stuff. They'll definitely improve your cricket skill output. That's right, yeah. Your hand-eye coordination, run a bit. That's right. Mm-hmm. But if you need to upgrade that kit. And you hate getting out of the house. Don't get out of the house. I'm lazy. I don't get out of the house. Hate getting out of the house. Go on the internet. If you hate getting out of the house, you can upgrade that kit from home via T20 Stars. Yeah, you can. Now we're talking to your doorstep. Your home. Come on. Order something today. Your gear's going to show up for free. Yeah. Free shipping. A couple of days later. Pez, what if you don't like it? You want to send it back? Send it back. Returns are free. Problem. Free returns. You're kidding me. Free returns. That's what fucking Watto is. From the comfort of your own home. That's what Watto, and I saw Watto in this picture with the old Australian players during the week. You see that shit? Oh, I saw it, yeah. It's when you screensaver at home. Sort of, look, this might be out of line, but you go through and there's good rigs there. A lot of guys still keeping good shape. Mm-hmm. Watto, though, I mean, if I was in the market.
Yeah. For what?
It's just sort of a daddy type partner.
Okay. Yeah.
You see those ads these days, like trying to sell I don't know if you get these ads. I get served these ads of like, don't dress like dad, dress like daddy. And it's about t-shirts that hug your body a bit better.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking, daddy's meant to be sexually enticing.
Sure.
Is it that psychology isn't working for me, really? Maybe it does for other people.
It's quite targeted, yeah.
Daddy stuff.
Yeah.
But, you know, I look at Watto and I'm like, it's a great rig and it's a great salad.
And it's a great entrepreneur.
He's
Staring
his
up into
wife
the middle
Lee
distance.
and also manager of T20 Stars is probably listening to this wincing a little bit, and I apologise. But the point is that he's a dish, Watto.
He's a dish.
He's a dish.
He's a dish.
He's a little sweet treat.
Yeah.
And he's offering free. What's the matter? It's just facts. I'm spitting facts.
What are you talking about?
He's a daddy, and he's offering free and fast shipping and returns. All the gear's made from one of the best manufacturers in the world. The exact same person who's shaping the bats for T20 Stars is the same person who's shaping the bats for a couple of the biggest brands in the cricket world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you order today and you want to change your mind or swap for another size, you can do that with the T20 Stars team. They're offering you things that other brands, other companies are simply not offering.
Mm-hmm.
They're sweeping the competition with this shit.
Pardon the pun.
If you're a friend of TGC, I hope you are, you're a friend of T20 Stars as well, you could use the code TGC15, TGC15, TGC15 for 15% off the full T20 Stars
full
range.
T20 Stars range. Not just some of it, not half of it, not 3/4 of it.
And remember, if you don't want to leave the house, if you're agoraphobic, this is agoraphobic friendly.
Yeah. That was originally the name of the website. They changed it to T20 Stars.
They chatted with us from a brand consultancy perspective.
They said, guys, what
Can
about
we call it agoraphobia?
agoraphobia?
With respect to those who suffer from the condition.
I suppose so.
T20stars.com, 15% off, use TGC15. Come on.
TGC15, T20stars.com. Here he is. It's the great man, Mark Wood.
Okay, we are on the line with the quickest bowler in the world. That's my view. It's many other people's views as well. It's absolute wheels. He's played for his country 102 times. He's taken 177 wickets. He's got 3 fifers at Test level. He's got a World Cup to his name at ODI level. Most importantly, as I said, absolutely frightening wheels. According to Shield Berry, a man believed to have seen more England Tests than anyone else. This man on the line here is owner of the quickest spell Shieldberry's ever seen by an England bowler. He hails from Ashington, Northumberland, Steve Harmison country, Bobby and Jack Charlton country. He's been kind enough to join us on the cast. It's Mark Wood. Woody, if I can call you that. Welcome to the Grade Cricketer.
Thank you. I feel like a heavyweight boxer there, the way you introduced us. I was ready for arms up and everything there. That was quality.
Should do that. Get some boxing music going. Mate, I read that Steve Harmison is obviously from your country now. He encouraged you to go to Australia to improve your game when you were young. And sure enough, there's an article from 2011 that we've dug up about you playing for Palm Beach Currumbin on the Gold Coast. So you've chosen a good grade club. Some of your countrymen go out to places you probably wouldn't choose to go to with respect to those places. And you've torn into Southport. But firstly, I just want to ask, like playing on the Gold Coast, great choice. How many Aussies, when you were there at Palm Beach Currumbin, were hitting you up so that you could get them a game in county cricket?
Oh, plenty. Don't worry about that. I mean, everyone that I played there thought that, the English game wasn't great and that they could walk into the first class system and all this kind of thing. The Duke's ball, I'll smash that all over. But no, it was great. I literally loved my time there. Went there 3 times, back to the same club. Could have gone to, I think it was the grade, I'm not sure your system, but the grade team was the Gold Coast Dolphins. And one year they were saying, oh, look, do you want to come there? But I just literally wanted to stay at Palm Beach. I had so much fun. Southport was one of the big rivals. I think I got a first ball against it. Every time I played them, I'm getting a duck, and they must think I'm absolutely shit. But it was, I mean, every team, if we batted first, I would get a bit of stick. But then they didn't realise that was a fast bowler. Then the next year I came, if we batted first, they were the friendliest lads you've ever seen. Hello, Woody, great to see you, and all this kind of stuff. So, it took them a bit of getting used to. I remember one guy had bought a helmet from the shop earlier that morning, and I hit him in the head early that morning. And the bolt had pinged off his helmet, and he was complaining to me that he'd spent all this money on this new helmet. And our captain just picked him up and went, "There's your bolts, mate." And as he screwed them back on his helmet for the next ball.
Well, hang on. Sorry. Woody, you didn't even play in the grade system. You played the level below grade cricket. So these poor bastards had to face like a tearaway Mark Wood, and it wasn't even grade cricket.
No, it was like club cricket. The club I was at was amazing. So, I mean, I didn't actually do that well, you know. I mean, I beat the bat quite a lot and things like that, but there was some games I would do really well, others not so well. But it was the first time I'd been away from home, from England and stuff, and it just helped me grow up a little bit. I mean, there's some great. We had a guy I think called Richard Burgess. I think he's an ex-rugby league player, and he played, and he was a stodgy opening batsman, obviously 60 odd overs, and he must have batted like 40 overs for about 20. Like guts to do it. And this wicketkeeper, I was into him all the time. This year that. So next week at training all week, honestly, he was G me up, slapped me on the arse. Come on, you can run in past that. You're going to get this guy and you're going to hit him. So when he came in the bat, we had like 3 men back, short leg, slips, whatever. And he was feeling the deep square. So first ball, I'm like bowling at him. I think it was outside off stump, play miss, and he's charged in from deep square. I'm now at my mark, and he's under this guy, like, you're weak this, you're weak that, you're fucking this, you're fucking that. Charge backs out to deep square so for this next fielding position. So I bomb him this time. Yeah, charges in, right in his grill again. Not saying anything this week. Nick him off the next ball. We're all like high-five and get in. This Burjo had walked him from the wicket off, "You're a fucking weak prick, mate," all this kind of stuff right into his face. Honestly, I've never felt so like emotional in all my life. I was like, this is like club cricket. What's going on? But fantastic. Like if I could bottle up like that, like camaraderie, it actually reminded me a lot of home and the people there. The sort of like, I'm from a working class background, and the club was very much like that. Everybody worked hard, and the only bits I get now is Bluey in the morning with me young kid. That's our favourite show. So that's the only reminders I get now. But absolutely love my time there.
I was just perusing the 2006 stats, Woody, of Ashington CC, as I like to do just from time to time. Just sort of pop in there, see what was going on. And you must have been 14 in 2006 that season. You were batting 3 and bowling first change. You actually played in that game. James Harmison was playing, I presume, is some relation to Steve. I'm guessing anyway.
Yeah, brother.
Are you getting much chat? Are you getting much chat as a 14-year-old playing first team cricket for Ashington, batting 3?
Yep. Mark Cosgrove actually was the guy he played at Swalwell Cricket Club, so not far from me. He constantly called me noodle arms, kiddies pads. Do you want to bring the boundaries in for your little fella? All this kind of stuff. I mean, alpha'd me to the max, to the point where I was like, I'm going to fucking kill this bloke in 20 years time, or like 10 years time. We actually played against them at Leicestershire. And I remember I'd done like an interview, and it was like, if there's one player you could bowl fast at, I was like, Mark Cosgrove. I'd love to smack him straight in the head. But I didn't actually, when it came to the time, I didn't actually bowl that quick at him. I don't know why. Maybe I bottled it, but he was one that I always wanted to get on a fast track, and I never forgot the things he'd said to us as a kid. And he was. I mean, at that stage of my career, I was like 14, 15. I was actually just a little merry medium bowler, these little like swingy outswing things that were a bit loopy and things like that. And I was actually more of a batter. But then when I realised that people could bowl over 75 mile an hour, I was a bit like, no, this is not for me. I'll try the other hand. So I managed to get a bit quicker when I turned in from a 12-year-old boy's body to actually looking somewhat like a little bit of a man, and then I could bowl a bit quicker.
A little bit quicker. Woody, you've had 2 injuries of late, and we'll talk about them as well and coming back and stuff. But obviously, one of the rites of passage when you have an injury as a quick bowler is to come back through club cricket. You know, come back through a lower level. And you've had 2 in the last couple of months, as far as I can understand. In your last start, a lot of us saw this online. You took 6 wickets, and it looked pretty fucking frightening, to be honest, for people who just have jobs and stuff. But the one I want to talk about is the comeback before that. You come back as a bat, you know, which all fast bowlers want to do. You come back, you bat 3 and you bowl 5th change. What was that day like? Any runs, any wickets?
I had an absolute shocker. I chopped on for 4. I dropped a catch at mid-off, and I didn't get any wickets. So that was a massive thanks for coming. I remember the news and that was there and people taking pictures. The worst thing for me that day was I'd just getting out. So this left arm medium pace ball, I'd get me out. I'd try to smack him through the offside, chopped on. I'm trudging off. I get all my kit off, and it was during COVID time, so you're sort of like getting changed outside. Took all my kit off. I'm pissed off, stood there, and this camera guy has missed the shot. So he's like, "Oh mate, can you just put your kit back on and act disappointed again?" I was like, "Absolutely fucking not, fuck off, mate." I'm like spewing here. Like, no way am I like so they've got this like picture in the newspaper. The captain's like, "Look, mate, just get rid of him, put your kit back on and act as." So in the newspaper, I'm like sort of like fronting up with this like frown on my face. Whereas I'd calmed down by that point, but originally I was like, "Nah, mate, fuck off. I'm not having this." Like,
I feel like Woody, maybe from the Australian point of view, I feel like we don't hear that much from about Paul Collingwood, who's obviously just a wonderful player when he played, but I imagine he would have been quite influential in your career, given the Durham connections and obviously your time in the England squad. So is that true that we don't really hear much from Paul? He's a pretty quiet guy, I suppose. I know he's been fielding coach, but he plays a pretty influential role now. But like, has he been big in your career?
yeah, I mean, probably you haven't seen him because he's a ginger, isn't he? So he has to stay out in the sun. So he's just always hibernating somewhere in the dark. But I think, like for his point of view on me, he's been hugely influential. He's, stood at first stint when he was captain. I thought he was a brilliant captain, actually. Would often like see little bits about the game that even as a pro, like when you've played quite a bit, you start to like get certain tells on players and stuff. He'd see something that nobody else would tend to see, which I always thought was really good. And for me, someone that likes to play with like fun and have a smile on my face, he encouraged that a lot. He didn't want me to be too technical or overthink things. He just wanted me to run in and bowl quick, really, which suited me down to the ground. So he's well embedded in the England system now, and I know he did a little bit of where he was head coach, and I think he did well with that. But I'd always like to have him as a sort of like a number two, because I think that he's so good in the system that if he became a head coach and he lost his job, would lose that influence and that, I guess, just good cricketing brain that he's got. So I'd like to, hopefully he could stay in the system a long time, and especially for someone like me who has got a good relationship with him and knows him well, it certainly does help.
Woody, speaking of like relations between Australia and England, we were lucky enough to tour England in 2019 with some live shows. We caught up with Marcus North, who was director of cricket at Durham at the time, at Newcastle Cricket Club, for a club show we did together. And then there was one bloke at the club show who sledged him, and I think that bloke never played again, but that's a different issue. It was a couple of days after Australia won the first test at Edgbaston, and Northie on this show, like people can go back and listen to it, told us that there was optional training at Durham that day. And he said, and this is his words, he's like, there was an injured Mark Wood in at the club, and he says he ran in and he normally doesn't make too big a deal of being an Aussie, but he walked into you and he said, "G'day, Woody," and you just said, "Fuck off, Northie, I don't want to talk to you." And it's like, I liked it because we talked to, I'm dropping names, we talked to Ricky Ponting maybe last year, and he couldn't think of an English player that he had a beer with after an Ashes game. But Australia seem to be nice blokes now, like under Pat Cummins. Like how are relations between the Aussies and the English at the moment?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it doesn't feel good when Cummins is bowling at your mind, but generally off the field, it's pretty good. I mean, I even found, I don't know, again, because I feel like I can relate to Australians a bit from my background, even with the crowd and stuff like that, when I was playing in the Ashes this year, I felt like the banter was good between me and the crowd. There was, obviously some stuff that was a bit maybe too far on that, but I like to have a laugh at it. And so, I mean, there was one bloke actually said that he thought I looked like Hugh Jackman. I was like, fuck me, I'll take that. I didn't even think it was a sledge. I was just so happy with it.
We're soft.
Yeah, there was a guy at Hobart. I remember I was fielding on the boundary. I touched my toes to stretch my hamstrings. He was like, "Geez, Woody, what the fuck did you have for breakfast?" I was like, "Christ almighty, this is brutal. This is flat." But it was great crack though. I loved it. I think generally between the players, because you play so much with each other now, in various competitions, it's generally been pretty good. When the game at Adelaide I didn't play, and Ponton was there with both of them. Both of them, of course, is the chairman here at Durham. So I went over to see Beefy and say hello, and Ponton just came like straight over and was like, "Why are you not playing?" And I was so like, "Whoa, like this is Ricky Ponton." I can't believe, like, one, he knows my name. Two, he's like sticking up for us, saying why aren't playing. But like, it was quite aggressive. And I was like, wow, like I don't know what to say. Like I was a bit on edge. So I could definitely see like the old school there. But like now, you play so much with each other. Like, yeah, I mean, you get stuck in on that in the field. I remember I beamed Travis Head, which was literally the worst ball I've ever bowled. And at the time I thought, oh no, this is bad. But after the day, I went in the dressing room and the Aussies let me in, and I said, like, apologised and stuff like that. So there was never like edge or anything like that. It was like genuine. So, you know, I think it's us English lads, like, we'll always have that rivalry with Australia. We have a lot in common in that as well. So I think on the field, as long as you play hard and then off it, you know, you can just be normal people. I think that's the way to go.
I reckon you would have played in Adelaide if you'd bowled some offies with maybe some sunnies on. Maybe it's got a couple more overs in. So it felt like that kind of wicket, you know.
Sort of come over the top.
Yeah, come over the top a bit. Yeah, no, but I mean, in that series, I mean, you had Dave Warner hopping. I mean, you took 9 for it in Hobart, took 6 for it, didn't you, in the first innings? Did guys come up to you afterwards and say like that was pretty quick, or they kept their cards a bit close to their chest?
No one really. I mean, I got that more from Michael Vaughan, actually, who I think it's been speaking to the Aussie lads, and a couple of them had said to him, but they never obviously mentioned that to me. Marnus a couple of times had to actually tell me that I was on bowling, because there was every time I was bowling, obviously I'd getting him out in a couple of games, and then it was this big thing in the media. It was Marnus versus Wood, like there's this big thing going on. To me, it was just like, he's a good player. Like, if Rudy wants to put us on, great. But like a couple of times I was in my own world, and he was like, Rudy's telling me you're on this end. I was like, this bloke, like, I can't believe like he's actually up for this every single time. He just wants to smack me. But he was someone that was always good to me. Davey Warner was someone I felt like, you know, I felt like there was good respect there. I mean, there was this thing where I had him hopping around. But if you look in the series, I only got him out once. He actually played me pretty well and survived and hung in there and then scored off me when he could. So it wasn't as if like I felt like I really had one over. Plus, we were getting drummed every game. So it was as if like I was like, wow, I'm bowling amazing, like we're smashing the Aussies. It was actually quite the opposite, where I was thinking, oh my God, I've got my bowling boots on again. I can't believe I've got to charge in again. Yeah, like I've had a good 1 session rest. I'm absolutely knackered. But it was quite brutal, but that's what it's all about, isn't it? And you've got to front up when you're playing for England. And it's good that them lads maybe had that respect and said, oh, you know, that I'm bowling fast. I mean, I still remember Langer actually shook my hand and said, respect, mate, at the end of the series. That was actually one of the best things anybody's ever said to us, not just because it was that he said this great speech or anything like that, but to have him just say the word respect as a great Aussie player, coach, and someone that, you know, I think he values hard work and can see that. That meant quite a lot of us. So that was nice.
I want to ask you about that experience, Woody. I mean, you know, we're just two idiots off the internet, but, you know, we talk about like, it's always a bit of a euphemism to say like, oh, you had them hopping around. Like it was more than that. You know, I haven't like, I thought David Warner was very uncomfortable, like playing you. And I thought a lot of them were really like, that was some of the quickest stuff that I've seen. And you know, you emerged from that Ashes with 5 stars, man. Like you played exceptionally well. But as you said, you guys got drummed. You know, everyone else was struggling, really. And it creates, like for a fast bowler, a difficult situation because, you know, Joe Root wants to give you more overs because you were really effective, you know, and guys were seemed afraid, you know, to play you. But you have this other side of things where you have to look after your body as well. And I know you're probably just going to say like, well, when you play for England, you just do anything you can to win. But what is it like when you know you're succeeding as a quick, but you need to look after your body, even though the team needs you to bowl overs?
Well, when you play for England, you do anything to win. No, I think when
I kind of closed off that option, didn't I?
I think, look, when especially for me, that's had a bad injury record, it is a fine line, but that, to me, that was the ultimate series. To be an English player in Australia, especially because I've been at Palm Beach, I really wanted to do well there. So as well as I think for me, I probably pride myself on bowling when it's hard and when it's tough and when no one else wants to bowl. Now, the character that I'd want to be is like, I would never give up. I would always try my best. And I was really pleased with not just the fact that I did bowl quick, but that I maintained my speed throughout the series. It wasn't like I just bowled one quick spell. Every time I came back, my speed was up, especially after not having much rest because we weren't batting well and things like that. So I was really proud of that actually at the end of the series that, I'd fronted up and put in as much effort as I could. Hobart was a bit of a mixed game. I actually felt like that was one of the worst games I bowled in. The first innings I got smacked. It was the first time ever in a first-class game I'd gone for more than 99. So first time I turned up. Couldn't seem to get me run rate below like 7, 8 and over. Then second innings I have 6 for 37. And it's like the best figures I'd had in Test match cricket. So it was a weird game in that aspect. But like before that, it was the Sydney game. And that's as good as I've ever bowled for England. I think I had like 1 or 2 wickets in the game. So it's funny how it sort of comes around. But what I tried to sort of evaluate myself on wasn't always, I was disappointed because obviously you want to get the wickets, but I was trying to think, did I give it absolutely everything I've got? Did I wear my heart on my sleeve? Did I try my arse off? And did I give it like no regrets playing for England? And that's what I was hoping to leave your shores with was, respect of the guy that gave everything he had to try and pull it wrong for our team. And, if I come back to Australia, hopefully in the World Cup, the 2020, same attitude, that's what I'll try and, judge myself on.
I'm really sorry to bring this game up because I'm sure you don't want to talk about it, but the 2019 World Cup final, when unfortunately you made a diamond duck in the run chase there. But let's just, I was actually watching the highlights of it before. It actually might be the greatest game of cricket I've ever seen. It's actually gives me goosebumps every single time. And like, I don't really care who wins because I was kind of cheering for India, if I'm honest. But let's go to the super over. Where were you fielding for Neesham and Guptill? Because I was trying to find you in the field, and were you even on the field?
You'll not find me. You'll not find me. No, I'm not on the field. I'm off the field. I was sat in a dugout where, like, on the side of the field where we had like a bench and everybody was sat on. I sort of stood on the side because I'd shock torn my side. I was injured on the side of the field. So yeah. I think with 3 balls left of the World Cup final of my spell, I think I bowled about 9.2, 9.3 overs. I felt my side ping, and Mogi could see that I was obviously bad, but he was like, "Look, we'll get someone else to bowl." And I just said, "Look, nah, I cannot. This is the World Cup final. I've got to just get through it." So I bowled like my last 2 or 3 balls, and then just couldn't lift my arm. The worst thing, I still watch that World Cup final. If you watch my dive to get in for that duck, it is the worst dive in the history of dives. Like, if that was Commonwealth Games, they'd give me minus, never mind, 1 or 2, it would be minus. It was that bad. I still get the piss taken out of me from the Asherton lads now at home when they're like, the Titanic turns quicker, milk turns. Yeah, like, it was just like so bad that I got so much grief for that dive. I still blame Stokesy. The fact that the bloke's on like 60, 70 or whatever he is, not out, and the bloke bowls him a full toss. He was sweeping Yorkers for 6. The bloke bowls him a full toss. He pats it to mid-on. How, mate? Like, what's he thinking there? But I get all the stick for he got it wrong, but it was a great game. I hated the match, actually, when I talk about it. Like, the ending is obviously unreal, and that moment where you run on the field and celebrating is class, but I hated the match. It was so tense, backward and forward. It wasn't like free-flowing. It was stodgy and hard to get away. And de Grunto, best figures, he went for like 20. So it was horrible to watch. And I'm a bad watcher at the best of times, so I didn't actually watch any of the play live, really.
I think as people listen to this or watch this, Woody, they're probably really they feel like they're watching and listening to a normal bloke, and I'm just thinking, like, after this recent
you might need
Ashes,
subtitles for your audience, though. I'm trying my best to speak properly. Maybe
you should see our stuff into India. Yeah. Indians are having a hard time, I think, with this chat, but we'll keep it going. You got £735,000 at auction for Lucknow in the IPL, right? And like, really endearingly, in an article with Ali Martin, who's friends of our show as well, you described that IPL contract like a computer game. Like transfers on Football Manager, and all the comments underneath on that article are just about like what a normal bloke you are and how endearing that is, to people. And what you've got a new book out with Vish. We talked to Vish the other day, coming out in a month or so. I want to ask you about it a bit as well. But like one of the chapters in it, I think is it's like an alternate self-help book, right? Is like how to stay true to yourself. Like, is it hard to stay true to yourself? You know, you've got Labour roots from the north of England, and you're getting a $735,000 contract. Like with luck now, like, is it hard to stay in touch with yourself when people bid that much money for your services?
No, not really. I don't think of it like that, really. I think, you know, I still go to my local cricket club a lot. As you know, I played for them as well. I have friends that are involved in the cricket club, friends that aren't involved in cricket that I still have from home from when I was a kid. So I think they keep us, you know, they keep you grounded. And if you ever get above your station, they'd quickly, you know, knock you back down. I don't think that's ever been an issue from, you know, the place in England where I'm from. I think if you're Billy Big Bollocks and you think that you've made it, or you think that, you know, it's all about this and that, there's a bigger picture. I feel, yes, it's great, didn't get us wrong, to have that money. I mean, in Ashton, you could buy a castle for that amount of money, but like, it's, I think if you get too far ahead of yourself, then, you know, it comes back to bite you, and people will never forget that. I think more importantly, yes, I want to be remembered as a good cricketer, but you want to be remembered as a good teammate, a good bloke more than anything, because that's what people remember. I wouldn't want people to think, oh, you know, that I could bowl fast, but I was an absolute dick. I didn't think that. I wouldn't like that. So I'd much rather be remembered as a bloke that tried his best and never forgot, you know, where I came from.
I mean, you've played with some of the best players England's ever produced. I'm thinking of Joe Root specifically, and I've heard it at least at one time he used to cut up people's socks in the dressing room. What is that? Is that true?
Yeah, that is true. There's also been, I mean, we've got Reg Dickerson, who's an Aussie from, I think he lives in Brisbane or somewhere like that, but he's our security. There's been lads glue his shoes to the floor. I mean, Rudy's prone to like loads of stuff. I mean, when he was captain, he had to dull it down, but now that he's not, he'll be back up with these tricks. Like, but they glued his shoes to the floor, cut, you know, holes in people's socks and they put their socks on. You always have to be careful around Rudy for that kind of stuff. It's quite nice in the fact that he's got the same sponsor as me, though. So I feel like he sort of leaves me alone with the fact that, you know, we're like, I can back him up a little bit we've got the same sponsor. I might get the odd bat and stuff like that. So he often leaves me alone. I think Liam Plunkett once smeared peanut butter on someone's kegs, on someone's boxers. That didn't go down well. So that wasn't maybe a great prank when they didn't have any spare boxers.
I think this kind of plays into your book, right? Because like I haven't read it because it's not out yet, but like heaps of people at your level will write a book. I can only imagine that you're thinking to yourself, or someone's approached you and you've thought, well, I don't want to do one just like everybody else, right? And like, as I think a lot of great cricketers are listening to you, Woody, and they think you probably think the same way as a lot of people who play cricket and like might be tormented by the like brutality of the game. You know, like you write about boredom and you write about like how, you know, struggling, you know, you're talking about struggling to watch games because it's up and down and whatever. Like what drove you to want to write this book and to also put it as like a bit of a faux self-help book?
Yeah, I just wanted it to be different, I guess. I didn't want it to be like a normal, like you say, autobiography. I've done this, I've done that. I met him, I grew. Like, I want to be a little bit different. A few of the stories from like my time at Palm Beach when I nearly cut my toe off with a lawnmower, when I knocked over the captain's mailbox. I mean, in Australia, why didn't you have straight drives? Like, you know, when you pull off a drive, they're like windy. They're never like just straight. Yeah, I smashed his mailbox pieces. That was in the first week that I was there. That didn't go down well. But, you know, like, I feel like if you tell, if a book is just basically, I've done this, I've done that, especially in my case, I played cricket, I got injured. I played cricket, I got injured. It'd be boring as shit. So I felt like, that's another thing I've picked up from you, Aussies. I shit. Like, I remember when I played with this lad, Nelson Hart, he got called Eggman. I don't know why he got called Eggman, but he was like, why don't you bowl him a bouncer and shit? Why don't you just, you know, knock his head off and shit? What's this and shit all the time?
It's kind of like, it's like you know that the sentence requires more detail,
There's
but
a lot
you
of
don't
heavy
have
lifting.
the intellect or the words to like put it out there. So it's just a bit of a catch-all term just to go like, I know there's more that needs to be said, but just and shit will do.
Yeah, well, I wanted to write a book and shit, so that's why I did it.
I understand. I completely understand.
Got it. I wasn't sure what you meant.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you, Woody, about your sobriety. For those who don't know, you don't drink, and I was just thinking about at the end of the Ashes when RUDI and Jimmy Anderson and Travis Head and Alex Carey were hanging around at 8 a.m. in a hotel in Hobart. M. Wood was certainly not there. Like, when did your sobriety start, and what sort of led to that decision?
A mixture of things, really. I think one, I didn't like the taste of beer. To be honest with you, I just didn't like the taste. I think cider's okay, but in general, I just didn't feel like I needed it. I could have a good time without it. When we used to go out, I used to just love dancing, and people would often I'd go out in the bar and stuff, especially when I played for England, and people were like, "Woody, can we buy you a drink?" I'm like, "Yeah, just a water, I'd be fine, thanks." And they're like, "Woody, he's so funny. What can we get you?" "A water, please." That's vodka, isn't it? That's straight vodka. No, I'm just drinking water. And they used to think that was this big thing. I'd be like, I don't, honestly, I don't need it. If I'm feeling a bit exotic, I might get sparkling water, get the hops in, feel a bit frisky. But apart from that, I remember when I first come to Australia, actually in the clubhouse at Palm Beach, there was a guy who worked behind the bar. And I seen this lass further along, and she had this ready drink. I said, "Oh, what's this drink?" She says, "Oh, it's a raspberry lemonade." I says, "Oh, the bomb. Oh, can I have a raspberry lemonade?" And he honestly, dead set, stopped at his tracks. He's saying, "What's wrong with you, mate?" It's like, "Nothing. I just want a refreshing drink." He's like, "Well, do you want a 4X?" I was like, "No, I want a raspberry lemonade." He couldn't get it around his head that well, I'm not a man because I didn't drink 4X. So it's he couldn't get it around his head. But I feel like I've never needed it, to be honest. That's the truthful answer. It's not at house parties and stuff when I was a kid, I remember, they would try and constantly "Oh, would he have a drink? Do this, do that." It's I guess the cool thing to do, but I honestly just felt like I didn't need it, and that I wouldn't be, I guess, pressurized into doing it if I didn't want to.
Very admirable. There still are times though where people have seen you under the influence of other substances, but medical. And probably the big one for the last year was your ramblings under anesthesia. I think following maybe the first elbow surgery that you had. And if people haven't seen it, just jump online, type in Mark Wood anesthesia. That'll do the job. But and there's I watched it again today because it's a great giggle. But I just noticed that there's so many articles and so many great moments from this 1 minute clip. You probably provide about 5 or 6 different things that could create a deep dive moment. But I reckon the best one wasn't even picked up. And that's when you're complaining that even though you've had elbow surgery, it's your shoulder that's aching. And then you console yourself by saying, "I'll still bowl fast," with your eyes closed. And then I presume it's a doctor there who says, "Yeah." And then you mumble, and this isn't picked up. Then you just mumble, "Fucking hit him in the head." And the guy says, "Yeah." And then you quickly asked about the IPL, the subject changes. And I just want to know, because you just come across such a nice guy. You've obviously I'm sure you got the red mist, the white line fever. You bowl quick for England, but were you thinking about anyone in particular when you literally mumbled "fucking hit him in the head"?
No, it's always in there. That aggression's always there. This time, so I had surgery, obviously, this time again on my elbow, and I told the physio not to video us because obviously I thought that, once was funny, but twice would be not great. But apparently this time, the nurse kept trying to give me water to drink. Obviously, you have to prove that you can drink and go to the toilet and stuff. And I kept telling her I had a tongue like an Alsatian, and I was licking the water every time she put it in my face. So they had to scrap the water until I came round a bit more. So God knows what that stuff does to me and who I'm thinking of or what I'm doing, but it definitely affects me. When that poor guy, I remember he came to me this time, and he the guy that was asking me about the IPL and stuff like that, and he looked at me and he just instantly started laughing and "Oh, it's good to see you back." I was like, I wasn't quite sure who he was. So it was that moment where, oh God, what have I said? And then the physio told me, "Oh, that was the guy last time that, was looking after you in the room and stuff." So painful. When I watch it, it's funny, but it's painful to think like, it's cringy as hell. But it affects me badly. That shit.
Yeah. Well, mate, there'll be so many people out here genuinely who would love to see you for the T20 World Cup in a couple of months' time. I know you're racing against the clock with the second elbow surgery. Can you tell us how you're going and what England's first 11 will be for the first game?
Right, I'll start with your first bit. It's going all right. It feels much better this time. I had a bit of ligament that they'd missed last time that was stuck up. We've chopped that clean off. Took 6 more bits of bone out my arm, so now I'm back to that spaghetti arms, noodle arms that Mark Cosgrove used to tell me. But I'll build that back up. It'll take me a few weekends. I'll be back. But then the second part, starting 11. England, we've had about 55 different teams lately, so God knows what that's going to be. Motti is head coach, a guy that played at Palm Beach, believe it or not. So I'm getting that in quickly. So I called him Palm Beach's #1, get him nice and sweet, get myself back in there. So hopefully I can get my spot back. But we've got plenty of good cricketers and stuff going on at the minute. So especially in that one-day team, we've got a good side. So I have to work hard to get back in.
Mate, I suppose
TV answer. I say that TV answer straight on.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, you did. You sort of gave both there. It was good. I suppose I have to ask you about it while you're here. You know, everyone wants to know about the future of cricket, and apparently it's just up to players to save the international game. So, you know, who do you love more, club or country? Just answer.
I've got to stick with the mighty Acorns, haven't I? Asherton all the way. I'm an Asherton boy now. That's it. After my last game was club cricket for Asherton. Got to stick my loyalty there.
I think the Mumbai Indians actually are in for Ashington this year. I think it's going to be the MI Ashington CC. I think so. Yeah.
The MI Acorns. Anything else, you guys?
No.
Good. Hey, Woody, thanks so much for joining us, mate. That's a great chat. We haven't done it on the basis of the book, but because it's out in a month, we'll tell people again. It's called The Wood Life. It's out September 15. You can get it wherever. I reckon go to a local bookshop and get it. That usually helps people out, but it's probably on the internet as well if you want it. But otherwise, mate, big thanks for joining us. You didn't have to do it, and we've had a lot of fun.
Thanks, lads. Cheers. Appreciate it. And shit.
Thank you very much to Woody. Am I allowed to call him that yet? I don't know. We haven't spoken to him. Will it need to happen?
Hope he can.
Me too, Pez. Me too.
Movement.
Before we get into hashtag me too, i.e. hashtag AskTGC, we've got to thank our dear friends at Manscaped. Use the code TGC for 20% off. You know what? It's just discount city here at the Great Cricket Podcast. You know, I was talking at the top of the show, Pez, about value. You get, you know, in these lull moments. I know it's been a hot summer. And it's been a hot boy summer as well.
And a hot girl summer?
And a hot girl summer, of course it has been. But
of course.
It's been hot them. But you get value here at TGC. Jonathan Lee, Mark Wood, come on.
So we say.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
Listeners and viewers will vote with their fingers, their ears and their eyes.
Yes, they will. But then, you know, we turn into Manscaped. 20% off.
20%? Fuck
20% off, mate. 20% off at Manscaped. Come on.
Getting upset with how much value is being offered. Is too much being offered?
I was actually going to talk to you about that.
Is too much value being offered?
I do worry a little bit.
Wind down the value,
I do worry about that a little bit. People are getting too much and we're not getting enough.
In business, the principle is to offer as much value as possible, right? Like the customer is always right, et cetera, et cetera. You work for your customer.
That's what they say.
We sit down in our meetings and go, I think it's too much.
Yeah, I think so.
It must be wound in.
Now, originally the code for Manscaped was going to be me, but instead it's actually TGC and you get 20% off and free shipping for that.
Now, it says Manscaped product alert. Insert sirens here. I don't know what this one is, but this is the siren. Or should I do it or should I not?
Let's find out what happens.
Let's see. Uh-oh.
Obviously, oil will always be my favourite.
The fuck was that?
That's not the siren. This is the siren. No, it's not.
I was saying
third time lucky, I suppose.
I don't remember us ever using it. Oh, that's a siren. Manscaped product alert. lads, you asked for it and they listened. Our friends at Manscaped are bringing the ultra smooth package to Australia. Hell yeah. It's time to stop, drop and order this premium shaving kit. Everyone knows by now that the lawnmower, you need a crowd laugh in here. Lawnmower 4.0 is the best electric shave for your balls. If you're looking for a closer shave to go bare down there, then the Ultra Smooth package is the perfect set. It's time to shave that bush of yours and get right to the roots with a discount just for you. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with the code TGC.
You fucking Aussie cunts.
I don't know what's on this mixing board.
Boys.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's the intro. What's this one? That's how you'll be feeling if you don't get Manscaped. If you don't get the Lawnmower 4.0, again, it shaves your balls, it shaves your pubic areas, etc. It's nice and clean. It doesn't hurt you. You get all these other accoutrements: crop exfoliator, crop gel, crop shaver. It's vegan, cruelty-free, sulfate-free. I know you're asking that. And that's included so your manhood is in good hands and without compromise. TGC is delivering from Manscaped. If you haven't got round to it yet, just get round. Please, now's the time.
Jesus Christ, come on!
It's
for
the
fuck's
it's the
sake,
razor.
boys.
It's just what you need. I've got a couple.
Fuck's sake,
it's good. Sakes, boys. 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped.com. TGC. Use the code TGC.
Is it fuck's sake or fuck's sake? It's fuck's sake, right?
It's
the sake of fuck. So it's the
for,
possessive
it's
of
for fuck's sake. So
yes,
the sake of fuck.
Yes, for the sake of fuck.
Yeah. For fuck's sake doesn't make sense.
Similar to sake, isn't it? It's a Japanese drink.
I remember seeing a tattoo on
my lower back.
I've seen plenty of them. Crammed for space now. A tattoo on the lower leg of a man who was a tattoo artist.
Yeah.
And it just said, it still says, fuck up. Because at some point in time, like fuck up, mate, became like the same as
shut the fuck
off.
up.
Yeah. Oh, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
But when looked at in a different context, in the context I looked at it, and maybe
he was
Shelton,
calling himself a...
So you're a fuck up.
You're a
fuck up. It's problematic. But someone listening is probably just going to fuck up, mate. Which is fair enough, including myself. So we're all on the same page.
Hashtag AskTGC, Pez. Should we talk about Merv?
Fucking oath we should.
Okay.
Merv's Masters. We talked about this last week.
Well,
Great
hashtag
response.
AskTGC is supported by Merv's Masters.
Yeah, it is supported deeply by Merv's Masters. Great response last week. People are fucking keen on this tour.
My mate.
People want to go. People
it?
want the cosplay Ashes tour.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Talk about it again.
People. Okay.
Fuck up.
Fuck up, mate. People want the cosplay Ashes, and it would be a fucking great tour. This is a 17-day tour. It's Merv's Masters, Wattle Spriggs 11. Merv runs this thing. Do you want to cosplay yourself at the Ashes run by Merv Hughes? Okay, I've probably said cosplay too many times for the liking of the owners of this enterprise. Forget how I'm couching it.
It's going to be a very unique set of people going on this tour now.
Hey, that layer of fun, if that's what you like, is available on this tour. I'm assured that not only do you play, and it's like you can play social games in a serious way, serious games, social way, whatever.
Yeah.
There's room for fun afterwards as well. And Merv's there every step of the way. This isn't Merv Hughes on the tour just going, I've signed my name off on this, couple of image rights, etc. Now I'm off to,
Whatever.
Dover, the White Cliffs.
The White Cliffs, yeah.
He's there. He gets on the field at times. I think it's a bit difficult for the for Swerven to roll a few down, but I'm sure if he needed to, if the game's close, he might consider it.
Well, Pez, you and I did an ad last summer, and Merv was bowling at us.
Yes, that's right.
And he was in bits.
He was in bits, yeah. But he still bowled.
Oh, he bowled.
That was
he chatted.
And
he chatted.
That was and he's sensational. He's about Merv is larger than life. He's an icon of Australian cricket, and his character is probably bigger than the person. But whenever you meet him, I was talking to another person about this the other day. Like, sometimes you meet cricketers, ex or current, and you feel like when you're talking to them that they are presenting themselves as a pro cricketer. Like, that's the context within which you're speaking to them.
When you said ex, I thought you were talking about Xavier Doherty.
He's not one of them. He's a lovely guy. I was to get him on the show.
I've never met him.
Yeah. And he was at a function we were at recently. Ex-Doherty.
Was I there?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was in Sydney. I had a few.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was he there?
He was there. I was across from him at the table.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway, sometimes guys present themselves as pro cricketers in social contexts, and you're like, Come on, can we just be fucking...
Well, I played
blokes?
semi-pro in England, so...
You are one of those people. And Murphy's isn't one of those guys.
Nah,
He's a fucking legend.
his identity is not...
He's a legend.
That I play cricket for Australia. His identity is his personality, and he's... Like, we joke about raconteurs, Pez. His
As opposed to rack on tour.
which is a separate sponsorship.
So we're running a different tour after this tour. We're doing live shows and it's called
TGC's rack on tour.
I'm so sorry, Sean. I still want to make really clear. God, I'm a rack on tour. I just want to make really clear. There's been a massive response to this already.
Yeah.
Spaces are filling up. We're talking about this for 5 more weeks.
Well, it sounds like a hoot, Pez.
It's the Mervs Masters.
The games are
Waddle
Lords,
Springs
aren't they?
11. The tour is a 17-day lead up to the first Ashes test.
Yeah.
Whatever date that is not out yet. But we know it's going to be in June or some shit, right?
Yep.
It's a playing tour, not a watching
It'll
tour.
be in summer.
Yep.
They're playing in summer.
So you're going to be in London in the summer. That's where you want to be. Hot boy summer. Hot girl summer. Merv is the coach of the team for the full tour and is there each day to assist as only he can. The games are serious games played in a social way. The age spread, if you think about these tours, sometimes you think, oh, some older people. Not at all, especially with like our listenership as well, getting back in touch with us and leaving comments. There's going to be plenty of young people there. It's 18. The age spread is 18 to mature. Players in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And they send the details to the opposition. They match up in a similar way on age. You know, in all these games, you train at Lords at one point. You play 7 games. You travel to some great grounds, etc. All around England. Fuck me, there's some great grounds.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to relax after the match. So that's when the Mervs are rack on tour, and then sometimes others who you're with might want rack on tour.
You know, like you played a couple of games in England, like, and when people say like it's a lovely ground, it's a great ground to play at, you just don't get that in Australia unless it's like
Or Sydney Oval.
or you're like Bankstown Oval.
Yeah.
Like, apart from flat.
You just blacked out, eh?
Yeah, I really did.
Started making noise.
But yeah.
Head to, if you're interested in this, and heaps of people are, head to cricketcoaching.com.au for details or to request the full tour itinerary. I'll tell you, it'll be a fucking great tour. Listen, when you do get in touch with them via email there on the page, put TGC in the comments. Say TGC sent you.
Yeah.
And you get a free tour baggy green when you join the show. I think we're going to get our hands on one of those baggy greens as well to show you. So again, it's cosplay stuff. Just be honest. Cricketcoaching.com.au. And this is Sean Brown's Cricket Coaching who's presenting Ask TGC. Take it away.
Hashtag Ask TGC. A quick shout out for this part of the show here. We're obviously hashtag Ask TGC Fridays comes out every Friday. And we get little bits and pieces coming from time to time. Pez, we had something coming from Will Carlson, who is actually the only button you didn't press on that mixer. But it's the Trough Man track. You've seen it publicised on socials the past day or so. But if you want more of that kind of gear and more TGC and more hashtag Ask TGC, it's the connection to the people playing clubland across the lands. Patreon.com/Great Cricketer.
Just for the benefit of listeners who don't tune into Patreon and may not know what Trough Man means, he goes, can you just give us 10 seconds on who Trough Man is?
Trough Man was an identity in gay clubs in Sydney in the 80s and 90s who had a proclivity for being urinated on in troughs. Sam writes in, Hi Sam and Ian.
That is the cleanest sentence I've ever heard you say.
Well, I was just talking to my mum and dad before, and they asked me how work's going.
Proclivity. Oh, yeah.
Hi, Sam and Ian. This is from Sam. Whilst appreciating from afar that Australia's cricketing culture is toxic, I can't help but detect some level of classism in the discourse. From what I gather, Australian cricket was traditionally more mixed of class than, say, the UK, with Australia regressing back into a more stratified class structure, in my opinion. Unjust funding of public v private schools, etc. What are your thoughts on this for the future of cricket in Australia in this regard? Caveating all the above that my bias is to view things through a class perspective unnecessarily and too much at times. Also noting, I haven't played cricket since I was 17. If you ever get around to reading this waffle and dribble, just want to say thanks for all your work. Thanks, Sam. And he says, for your information, for greater context, I appear to be in a minority where I am a Warner truther. Warner, albeit sometimes a brash, over-the-top Yahoo on the field, is unfairly maligned as just a houso from Matraville in my books, says Sam. Class in cricket, Pez. Interesting one. I think we've spoken about this in the past, haven't we, with in regards to Australia and UK?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think what Sam says at the end about Warner is bang on. I do think he's unfairly maligned as a houser. I do. Like, even just in a in an unspoken way. I think that sits underneath a lot of people's judgments of him. And I don't think it's fair. I think that Australia would have a very long way to go to hit the like class stratification levels and depth of class stratification of the UK.
Yeah.
I don't think they're really comparable.
I'm not sure it would ever happen.
But there is more of it. I think mining money led to a rising middle class in Australia, and now every cunt loves MasterChef.
Yeah.
And you can't go to a wedding without someone judging the food.
Yes, mining. Yeah, there was an article the other day about the wealthiest suburb in Australia. It's in Perth. Average income was $325,000. Not bad. Good if you can get it.
I mean, I read an interview with ex-Prime Minister John Howard over the weekend, and even he was like, and this guy's like fucking monarchy to the max. He has a fucking erection. He had an erection for the monarchy then, and he has one now. And even he was saying that Australia doesn't have whatever England's got going. Now, he didn't put it in these words.
Whatever's going on
over there.
Yeah.
Class-wise. But it is true. Like, I do think that, for example, like when we started playing grade cricket, I don't know if this was your experience at Gordon, a bit leafier than the club I was playing at. Like, being a private school boy was left you open to derision. Like if you're a private school boy turning up in grade cricket, it was assumed that you were soft, weak, like susceptible to pressure, had been given everything on a plate, and that was not going to hold you in good stead for success in cricket. I even remember like back in the late 90s, it was problematic to stay at a private school in terms of like gaining selection for underage teams, though they changed that. Now I feel like it's just a feeling like it's a lot more mainstream for private school kids to be coming through. Going to a private school as a cricketer is the opportunity to play in better facilities and all this sort of shit that like England's gone through for a long time. When Ed Cowan got selected to play for Australia in like 2011 or 12, I want to say, it was newsworthy that he'd gone to a private school. Now, if you look through the Australian team, I don't know where everybody went off the top of my head, but it's far more common for players to have come from private schools.
Watto went to a private school as well, didn't he?
Yes, Watto. Yeah, I mean, now I just want to go through them, but...
But I remember Cowan, because we're from Sydney, so that was a notable one. For us, I mean. But yeah, no, I agree. There's all this, like...
Cummins went to St. Paul's,
the structure of private schools is changing, where like there are more people that are never going to private schools now, and like they're really sort of...
for a bit more money in Australia, I reckon.
Yeah. Scholarships.
More scholarships and all that sort of shit.
Elite.
I miss a little bit of just the stereotype of like being harder and brawnier, and the Australian cricket team being more country oriented, just to like
more bush horse stuff,
more bush horse, more wild Brumby bush horse. So that means you can be in the cold or warm climes.
I want a guy who was like chopping wood, like by Peter Sill areas. You know, in my mind, Josh Hazelwood did that, but like the softness of the hands couldn't possibly be true. But there's like just absolute genetic freak rig.
Like
Cameron Green to private school, didn't he?
Cameron Green private school.
Yeah.
I shudder to think that, whereas in the past, being a private school boy in a cricket dressing room left you open to like ridicule.
Absolutely rinsed. I was rinsed at the beginning.
Rinsed
like
for being
teams.
A weak, limp-wristed private
and
school
how right
cuck.
they were. Yeah.
Wealthy cuck. Your dad's got $300 million. No, Dad's bankrupt actually, but he's leveraged.
The first grade game over went to, I turned on my school blazer. I was 21.
And now...
The team song, I sang the school song.
Pants? Did you have pants on?
Pants? Did you have pants on?
Because at my club, a guy was nude with a court jester hat on. See, I shudder to think that like Whereas back then that was the case. There's still something like there's still a moral journey in that. Now you might get rinsed for not going to a private school. You know, like you're the outlier as a public school product in Australia, and that only leads to weakness. Like, you know, like you've got to have the right haircut, dad's got to have the right job, or mum, you've got to have gone on the right holidays.
Because I don't like the idea of pro athletes that I support going to the schools that I went to. I don't like that idea.
Thank you. And that's the ultimate classism as well.
Yeah, I don't like
I
that.
need my sports stars basically from the wrong side of the track so I can sit in the corporate box and sort of wave my little handkerchief at them while they achieve sports things.
Wait, my handkerchief?
No, I'm a fucking Real Madrid fan. Fucking...
I need my athletes to be dumb, brutish,
that's right.
jockish types.
That's right.
Who wear varsity jackets out. That kind of gear.
Don't use 3 words when they could use 1.
Exactly.
But by God, they can hit a cricket ball.
Oh my God, what about the shoulders?
Yeah, that's right. The shoulders for days. I can sort of coo over it.
Yeah.
Once
I discuss my portfolio.
That's right, over a splash of red.
Wash it down.
Oh, yuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Does that help? More time, or are we done?
Let's wrap up there. Let's wrap up there.
Righto.
Thank you very much to Jonathan Lee. Thank you much to Mark Wood, if that did happen, or if it didn't, whatever. Thanks to you guys for tuning in, watching, listening, consuming all of this stuff. The Test match cricket is back as of tomorrow. Thank you as ever. See you, Coates, next week. Cheers.